Hi, welcome to MediatorPodcast.com, a podcast and video series about mediation, negotiation, and collaboration. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I'm a divorce mediation expert in St. Louis, Missouri. During this episode, we will discuss conflict resolution for nonprofit associations with former IRS auditor Mike Gregory. Mike is a mediator in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He is the author now of 13 books regarding various topics, and he also has created the collaboration effect. He's a frequent speaker and uses mediation techniques to de-escalate situations. Welcome, Mike, trying to help the parties listen. But there's also, when you're talking about conflict in a mediation, you're always, I don't really think we've ever been through one personally where it didn't get escalated at some point, whether it was really yelling, like a lot of times you set the parameters up at the beginning of how we're going to conduct this mediation and how we're going to be respectful. But sometimes, voices get raised. You're working through the psychology of working through something doesn't just mean, okay, I'm done with it. It's having those conversations in a safe environment. But if you have a party that comes in with a really strong belief or situation or position and starts to escalate it, what are some of the things that you do in not just listening, but other things that you do to kind of de-escalate and get them to continue to listen and discuss the issues at hand?
Well, one of the things you just commented on, I'm just going to reiterate it with just slightly different terminology, but help bring this home, is when the other party has spoken, there's a lot of emotion there. So when they've put forward their facts on a given issue and their feelings about it and their interests, they're passionate. So oftentimes what I do is I listen to that and I'm going to paraphrase, summarize, and empathize with them. And then I'm going to say what I heard them say. My goal is to say it better than they said it themselves. That's my goal. And I'm going to reframe that in neutral terms. And when they hear it in neutral terms, they go, yeah, that's what I mean. That's it. That's what I mean. But if someone has the amygdala's kicked in, they flooded themselves, they're angry, they're yelling, they're upset, the first thing you have to do is you want to make sure you don't take it personally. You have to decide whether you're going to get angry or not. And when I'm mediating, I've made a decision. No matter what happens, I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to get upset. I have to be this active listener that we just talked about. I need to slow myself down. I'm a fast talker. I get going. I'm passionate. I'm talking about the things I talk about. I have to force myself to slow down. When I go into a mediation, I pray the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. And in that prayer, there are some lines that say, seek not so much to be consoled as to console. Seek not so much to be understood as to understand. And I put myself in that mind frame before I go into the mediation, because I want to center myself and control the fire and slow myself down. And I want to be there to be empathetic with the party I'm working with, so that as they hear me, I'm just the person who's here to help. I'm not trying to make anybody right or wrong, them right or wrong. I'm just trying to help. I pass no judgment. It's really key that I'm not judgmental. I'm a judgmental kind of guy. If I took Myers-Briggs, and on a Myers-Briggs testing, I'm a ENTJ, the last letter J. I reach judgments right away. It's easy for me to do that. Make a decision and go. But you know what? That's a major fault. So when I was a manager, I came through and said, when I learned this, I had to slow myself down and make sure I went back and asked other people for opinions and circled back around before I made the decision, because I could miss things. I have blind spots. Now as a mediator, I look at it as I'm not making any judgment. They're making all the decisions. I try to keep myself to be courteous. I want to work with the party so that they are saying yes. If I ask them questions and I get them to say yes to questions, back up here with neuroscience, the fact that they are saying yes produces certain chemicals and hormones which make them more receptive towards moving towards reconciliation. And to get myself through it, just like I talked about earlier, Mike, calm yourself down. Mike, don't get upset. Mike, demonstrate listening. I talk to myself with positive self-talk. So Don't take it personally. You decide whether to get angry. You need to use active listening, slow down, be empathetic, be aware of your own triggers. Don't pass judgment. Always be courteous. Work with the other party to say yes, and give yourself positive self-talk, because that will help you get through the process.
Well, and I think that a couple of things that you said is very interesting, because we're doing some mediation training recently. And because of the environment that we're in, everybody has heightened anxiety or concerns in their personal life. And we talked about, as a mediator, I think that if you're going into a situation that already has conflict, this isn't about you. This isn't, like if you've had a bad day, if you're on the brink of, some issues, you really do have to get your mind as the mediator right before you go into that situation, because it does get volatile sometimes. And if you're the one that's, losing your cool, losing your temper because of that outside factors that are happening. In some contexts, I think that people would be understandable, but in the other, you're there to provide a service. And it really isn't about you, which is hard for some people to kind of get on.